You have called me a lot of names, my entire life, but this day forward, you will call me doctor. Transitioned in medical school, as I came out to people and as I realized how healthcare works for the transgender community in India, I realized that there is such a gaping hole. We really don't get the healthcare that we deserve, be it with gender affirming surgery, gender affirming therapy of any kind, including psychological counseling, including dermatological services, and including a lot more specialized sort of healthcare. We don't get even the bare minimum. I realized that I would like to help and ensure that lacuna is filled. When did you realize that you were heterosexual, or when did you realize that you were cisgender or not transgender? The best thing that we can do is ask society instead that when did you know that it was okay to make a child feel like they were a circus animal? Instead of asking us, when did you know you were different, we should be asking people around. We should be asking teachers and parents. And when did you know it was okay to treat a child like they were so different? When I was about 3 or 4 years old, I was very comfortable calling myself a girl. I was very comfortable experimenting with stereotypically feminine gender roles. My mom would dress me up in her jewelry, in her makeup, and I loved it. I think everybody around me realized that I was in fact more comfortable, identifying and expressing myself as a girl. And that was a social emergency, that people were like, okay, what do we do about this now? And that's when I started getting teased, bullied for it. This neighbor would come and tell me that I should not be this shame to my family and to my parents. So it wasn't some intrinsic visceral epiphany that we have that, okay, we are not like everybody else. It is when people come to us and discriminate against us that we realize that we don't belong. When I was about 10 years old, I saw a psychiatrist who was not trained to handle this, because my parents had taken me to her actually. And she told me that something was wrong with me because I was not spending enough time with a masculine influence in my life. I was behaving in a very feminine way. So it was quite disheartening to hear that from a doctor. And even from the best of doctors, you hear similar things. So I would really like to change that for, the generations to come. I want no transgender person to go through that ever. I was assigned male at birth, but my gender identity was always female. I always identified as a girl. So, that mismatch between assigned gender and identified gender can be called gender incongruence. And that gender incongruence gives a lot of discomfort to a lot of people, physical, emotional, psychological, and for many others, the discomfort is not very severe. So depending on how severe the discomfort is, there are a variety of options that a transgender person has in order to feel comfortable with their identity. And that may include legal changes, social changes, medical and surgical changes, or sometimes next to no changes at all. It really depends from person to person. Because I was an easy target for them. Because I was very different from all of the other boys, right? It was so easy for them to pick on me, to beat me up, to sexually harass, to molest. and basically do whatever they wanted. And there were people in school, there were teachers in school that played along and just pretended like nothing was happening. There were people in the apartment complex. It was just happening from every direction. There were teachers who would throw me out of class for dressing a certain way. There were friends that thought I was just asking for attention. And there were a lot of trolls online, So there was a lot of bullying and harassment that came my way because I was different. A long time to sort of make my peace with the fact that if I were to come out of the closet, if I were to live my life in an authentic kind of way, then there will always be people who will say things, and I have to sort of be strong there and empower both myself and the entire community. Once you get to a certain point in your life wherein you are completely sure of who you are, where you will not take nonsense from people really are intimidated by that, and I enjoy that. I really enjoy that people are now scared to say things, because I do experience that. Because of my social media following, because of who I've become and who I am becoming, people do think twice before they say something or before they do something. That's a huge step forward in my life. You have called me a lot of names, my entire life, but this day forward, you will call me doctor. And that is the day that I kept working towards. And I'm so glad that it's finally happened.